September 2, 2015, marked the day Dallas discovered that evil could wear the mask of heartbreak. Dr. Kendra Hatcher, a pediatric dentist who dedicated her life to healing children, became the victim of a murder-for-hire plot orchestrated by jealousy itself. While she worked late that evening, helping one last patient, a conspiracy born from romantic obsession moved into position. 3 years later, international manhunts would span 2 countries. Tonight, we reveal how love became a death sentence, how betrayal crossed borders, and how a community's pursuit of justice proved that some crimes echo far beyond their commission. In the pre-dawn darkness of Dallas, emergency lights pulse against the glass facade of the Children's Dental Center. Inside, Dr. Kendra Hatcher reviews patient charts for the upcoming day, her dedication evident in details only she notices: notes about a child's fear of needles, reminders about payment plan adjustments, follow-up calls scheduled for worried parents. The building comes alive as staff arrives for another day of healing. Dental assistants prepare examination rooms, while soft music plays overhead. Children's artwork covers the walls: crayon drawings of smiling teeth, thank you cards decorated with stickers, photographs of young patients showing off healthy grins. Morning rounds start with the Anderson family, Dr. Sarah Chen mentions during their brief hallway encounter. 3 siblings, all anxiety cases. Kendra nods, already formulating her approach. I'll use the counting game. Sometimes distraction works better than explanation. Her first patient, 7-year-old Marcus, clutches his mother's hand while scanning the cheerful examination room. Cartoon characters dance across ceiling tiles designed to ease children's fears. The overhead light resembles a smiling sun rather than clinical equipment. We're going to be tooth detectives today, Kendra explains, adjusting her chair to eye level. Detective work requires careful observation. Can you help me investigate your mouth? Marcus's tension dissolves under her gentle attention. His mother watches, with grateful relief, as her son opens wide, trusting this woman who treats fear with kindness rather than authority. The morning progresses through a parade of small patients. Emergency appointments squeeze between scheduled visits. Insurance paperwork gets completed during lunch. Phone calls to specialists bridge the gaps between procedures. This is Kendra's world. Built on service, sustained by compassion. Local television features her clinic during the noon health segment. Reporter Jessica Martinez stands outside the building's entrance. Dr. Kendra Hatcher has provided free dental care to over 3,000 Dallas children through her foundation work. Her commitment to serving families, regardless of economic circumstances, has made her a quiet champion in our community. The camera captures parents arriving with their children, unaware they're documenting the final day of a life dedicated to healing. By evening, these same doors will reflect crime scene tape and investigative spotlights. Across the city, afternoon shadows lengthen as Dr. Ricardo Paniagua completes his dermatology rounds at Presbyterian Hospital. His thoughts drift to dinner plans with Kendra, vacation brochures waiting at home, the future they're building together. He texts her between patients, "Finished early today, want to discuss Cancun over dinner?" Her response arrives quickly. "Perfect timing, I have exciting news about the foundation grant." Neither realizes they're being monitored by someone whose obsession with Ricky's life has metastasized into something far more dangerous than heartbreak. Brenda Delgado tracks their communications through secretly installed monitoring software, each message feeding her growing resentment. The couple meets at Café Madrid in Deep Ellum. Their corner table overlooks the bustling street, where evening commuters hurry past restaurant windows glowing with warm light. Kendra spreads foundation paperwork across the table, while Ricky reviews travel options on his tablet. "The grant approval means we can expand clinic hours," she explains excitedly. "Evening appointments for working families, weekend emergency services, everything we discussed." "You're going to exhaust yourself," Ricky warns with affectionate concern. "When do you actually rest? Helping people doesn't feel like work. Besides, you do the same thing with your pro bono dermatology clinics." Their conversation flows between professional aspirations and personal dreams, the foundation's expansion plans, vacation destinations they've never visited, maybe someday, a family of their own to nurture. Neither notices the woman at the bar, partially concealed behind a cocktail menu she hasn't opened. Brenda Delgado's eyes track every gesture, every laugh, every moment of intimacy she once shared with the man now planning a future with someone else. Her phone displays the location tracking application that brought her here, the same illegal surveillance tool that feeds her knowledge of Ricky's movements. She watches Kendra's animated storytelling, descriptions of difficult cases, breakthrough moments with frightened children, families transformed by accessible health care. The narrative should inspire admiration. Instead, it deepens Delgado's hatred. How does this woman earn so effortlessly what she herself lost? How dare Kendra Hatcher claim the life Delgado believes belongs to her? As the couple prepares to leave, Delgado scrolls through her contact list, pausing at Cortes, a young single mother struggling financially, grateful for friendship, easily manipulated through desperation and false promises. The call that will initiate murder gets placed while Ricky and Kendra walk to their cars, discussing weekend plans neither will survive to see. Dawn breaks over Oak Cliff as Delgado and Crystal meet at a 24-hour diner. Crystal rocks her infant daughter, while Delgado speaks in carefully measured tones, her words chosen to obscure rather than illuminate true intentions. "I need assistance with a personal matter," Delgado begins, "something requiring discretion and reliability." Crystal adjusts her baby's blanket, calculating bills against the envelope of cash Delgado slides across the worn table. "What kind of assistance?" "Surveillance work, following someone, documenting their routines. Nothing dangerous or illegal." The lies flow smoothly. Delgado has rehearsed this recruitment, refined each phrase to minimize suspicion while maximizing compliance. To Crystal, this sounds like domestic investigation, perhaps insurance fraud documentation. "How much does it pay?" $500, initially. Additional compensation based on results. Crystal's financial desperation overwhelms any ethical concerns. Rent is overdue, formula costs multiply weekly, her daughter's needs eclipse abstract moral considerations about following strangers. Where do we start? Today. They drive to Kendra's clinic in Delgado's black Jeep Cherokee. Crystal observes through tinted windows as their target greets families with genuine warmth, her patience evident even from a distance. Children who arrive crying leave with stickers and smiles. "He seems like a good person," Crystal comments. "Appearances deceive," Delgado replies coldly. "Trust requires verification." Security cameras at multiple locations capture the Jeep's license plate as it follows Kendra from work to grocery store to apartment complex. Digital evidence that will later reconstruct the stalking timeline, though currently invisible, among millions of routine surveillance recordings. The pattern establishes quickly. Delgado studies Kendra's schedule with scientific precision. Arrival times, lunch destinations, evening activities with Ricky. She catalogs security vulnerabilities at each location, seeking the perfect intersection of opportunity and concealment. The apartment garage becomes their focus. Every evening around 6:30, Kendra drives down the concrete ramp into the dimly lit parking area. She follows the same route to the elevator, walks at a predictable pace, carries her purse and clinic bag in a consistent manner. "How long do we continue watching her?" Crystal asks during their third day of surveillance. "Till I have complete intelligence." "Intelligence for what?" But Delgado deflects the question, instead placing another call to Kristopher Love, a small-time drug dealer whose moral flexibility matches his financial desperation. They meet at a sports bar in East Dallas where loud music masks conversation and cash transactions draw no attention. Love's street instincts immediately recognize opportunity in Delgado's careful approach. "I have a business proposition," she begins, "something requiring your specialized skills." "What kind of specialization?" "Problem resolution, permanent solutions to ongoing difficulties." Love understands immediately. "How permanent?" "Completely. But it must appear random. Wrong place, wrong time, standard urban crime." "What's the compensation?" Delgado slides Kendra's photograph across the table, a candid shot taken during their surveillance, showing her leaving the clinic with keys in hand, smile bright, despite another long day of serving others. $10,000, half now, half upon completion. Love studies the image, calculating risk against reward. "Timeline?" "Soon. I'll provide detailed intelligence about her routines, optimal location, security considerations. You supply expertise and necessary tools." "Tools meaning?" "Whatever creates the appearance of interrupted robbery." The transaction completes with business-like efficiency. No dramatic negotiations, no moral wrestling. Simply two people agreeing that another human life has a monetary value, and that value justifies murder. Delgado's plan crystallizes over the following week. Crystal will position the getaway vehicle near the garage exit, monitoring for security threats. Love will wait in the shadows near Kendra's typical parking area. When she arrives from work, he'll demand her purse, then shoot her during the apparent robbery. The theft provides motive for investigators. The location suggests random criminal opportunity. The quick execution prevents victim identification of perpetrators. Everything points toward successful crime with minimal investigation. On September 1st, they conduct final reconnaissance. The garage layout confirms their strategy. Multiple escape routes, inadequate lighting, no visible security personnel. Kendra's routine remains predictable. All elements align for the following evening. Crystal expresses final reservations during their preparation meeting. Are you certain about this? What happens if something goes wrong? Nothing will go wrong, Delgado assures her with chilling confidence. Tomorrow, this situation resolves permanently. September 2nd arrives with oppressive humidity that transforms Dallas into a steam bath. Kendra begins her day treating a packed schedule of patients, including multiple emergency cases requiring extended attention and careful pain management. Her final appointment runs significantly late, a nervous 6-year-old requiring extraordinary patience and gentle coaxing before allowing examination. By 7 o'clock, Kendra finally locks the clinic and heads home, unaware her delayed departure has disrupted the timing of her own execution. She texts Ricky from her car, running behind schedule, "Traffic looks terrible, see you soon." His immediate response, "Drive safely, I'll keep dinner warm." The drive through Dallas takes longer than usual due to construction delays and early evening congestion. Radio traffic reports confirm what she observes through her windshield. A city moving slowly through another humid September evening. Delgado, Crystal, and Love wait in the garage, their tension mounting with each passing minute beyond Kendra's normal arrival time. The delayed schedule disrupts their carefully rehearsed coordination, but abandoning the plan now would waste weeks of preparation and surveillance. "Where is she?" Crystal whispers, from behind the steering wheel of their positioned getaway vehicle. "She'll arrive," Delgado insists, though doubt creeps into her voice as minutes pass. Love checks his weapon repeatedly, nervous energy building with the extended wait. "I don't like delays. Too many variables, too much exposure time." At 7:23 p.m., headlights finally sweep down the garage ramp. Kendra's white BMW navigates the concrete spiral, engine noise echoing off bare walls. She parks in her usual section near the elevator bank and begins collecting her belongings. The attack unfolds with terrifying speed. Love emerges from behind a concrete support column as Kendra steps from her vehicle. The demand for her purse is brief, almost casual. She complies immediately, confusion rather than fear dominating her expression. The gunshot reverberates through the enclosed space like cannon fire. Kendra collapses beside her car door, keys still gripped in her left hand. Love grabs the leather purse and sprints toward the waiting Jeep, which accelerates toward the exit before his door fully closes. Two teenagers skateboarding nearby hear the shot and observe the Jeep speeding from the garage entrance. One immediately dials 911 while the other notes partial license plate information. Their emergency call reaches dispatch at 7:26 p.m. Gunshots. At Gables Park Apartments, suspects fleeing in dark SUV. First responders arrive to discover what every paramedic dreads, a scene where medical intervention cannot reverse the violence already committed. Dr. Kendra Hatcher, 35 years old, beloved healer of children, lies dead from a single gunshot wound to the head. Detective Martinez arrives 20 minutes later, his experienced eye immediately cataloging evidence that will either solve or complicate the investigation. The apparent robbery seems straightforward initially: missing purse, no obvious personal connection between victim and perpetrators. But inconsistencies emerge upon closer examination. Kendra's vehicle remains unlocked, suggesting attack during exit rather than attempted entry. Her keys lie beside the body rather than scattered by struggle. Most significantly, security footage shows the suspect's vehicle arrived 40 minutes before the victim. Incompatible with opportunistic crime. Ricky receives notification at 9:45 p.m. while reviewing patient files in his home office. The caller's words seem surreal initially. Accident, emergency, hospital contact required. Only when the officer explains that Kendra is deceased does reality penetrate his shock and disbelief. "There must be some mistake. We were supposed to have dinner together. She was driving home from work." "Sir, I'm very sorry for your loss. Dr. Hatcher was killed during an apparent robbery. We'll need you to answer some questions when you're ready. Local news crews began arriving at Gables Park 17 before midnight. Reporter Jessica Martinez, who had praised Kendra's charitable work just that morning, now delivers a starkly different report from behind police tape. Tonight, Dallas mourns Dr. Kendra Hatcher, a pediatric dentist whose dedication to underprivileged children made her beloved throughout our community. Police believe she was murdered during a robbery in her apartment building's parking garage. The investigation continues. The first investigative breakthrough comes within 12 hours. Detective Martinez reviews security footage from surrounding businesses, tracking the black Jeep's route through multiple neighborhoods before and after the crime. Traffic cameras capture partial plates and distinctive vehicle modifications. By morning, a preliminary timeline emerges. Suspects arrived early, waited for victim, executed plan quickly, fled immediately. This pattern suggests premeditation rather than spontaneous opportunity, elevating robbery to first-degree murder investigation. Ricky endures interrogation that lasts most of the night, his grief compounded by necessary suspicion directed toward anyone close to murder victims. His alibi proves ironclad. Hospital colleagues confirm his presence until 6:45 p.m. Restaurant receipts show solitary dinner while waiting for Kendra. "Can you think of anyone who might want to harm Dr. Hatcher?" Detective Martinez asks during their second interview. Absolutely no one. Patients adored her. Colleagues respected her. She spent every day helping people, especially children from struggling families. "What about your personal relationships? Anyone uncomfortable with your relationship with Dr. Hatcher?" Ricky pauses thoughtfully. "My former girlfriend had difficulty accepting our breakup. Brenda Delgado. But she's not violent. She's studying dental hygiene, pursuing legitimate career goals." "How long since your relationship with her ended?" 8 months ago, when I met Kendra. "Has Brenda contacted you recently?" "Occasionally. Text messages mostly. Nothing threatening or inappropriate." Detective Martinez records careful notes. Former partner dynamics complicate many homicide investigations, though most remain emotional rather than criminal. Still, the connection deserves thorough exploration. Public response to Kendra's death demonstrates genuine community grief. Flowers accumulate at the clinic entrance. Parents bring children to leave drawings and handwritten notes. Local media coverage expands beyond typical crime reporting to celebrate a life dedicated to service. "She treated my son when we couldn't afford private insurance," one mother tells television cameras. "Never requested payment, just said every child deserves dental health." The breakthrough that transforms the investigation arrives 3 days later when Detective Martinez receives a call from a rental car agent who recognized the black Jeep from published photographs. "I rented that vehicle to a young woman named Cortes," the agent explains. "She returned it the day after your incident, specifically requested thorough interior cleaning." Cortes is arrested at her Oak Cliff apartment while caring for her infant daughter. Her expression shifts from confusion to terror as officers explain the charges against her, including potential capital murder for participation in felony homicide. "I didn't kill anyone," she protests immediately. "I only drove the car." Those words, "only drove the car," confirm Detective Martinez's suspicions about conspiracy. Crystal's willingness to cooperate, motivated by concern for her daughter's welfare and realization of her legal jeopardy, provides the case breakthrough investigators needed. In the interrogation room, Crystal's confession unfolds gradually. Initial denials give way to partial admissions, then complete revelation as prosecutors explain potential penalties, including life imprisonment or execution, for anyone involved in premeditated murder during felony commission. "Brenda told me it was surveillance work," Crystal explains through tears. "Following this woman, documenting her activities. She never mentioned violence or robbery." "When did you learn about the murder plan?" "The night it happened. Brenda brought this man Kristopher. He carried a gun. I realized then what we were actually doing, but I was terrified to leave." "Why didn't you contact police?" "I needed the money desperately, and I was scared of what Kristopher might do if I backed out." Crystal's detailed confession provides names, timeline, and crucial evidence about the conspiracy. Brenda Delgado organized and financed the murder plot. Kristopher Love served as the triggerman. Crystal drove the escape vehicle. Phone records and surveillance footage corroborate every major element of her account. Detective Martinez moves swiftly to apprehend Love, locating him at an East Dallas apartment where ballistics evidence links a recovered pistol to the crime scene. Love's interrogation proves less cooperative than Crystal's, but physical evidence speaks clearly. The weapon is registered in your name, Detective Martinez states. Ballistics analysis confirms it fired the shot that killed Dr. Hatcher. Crystal Cortes has identified you as the shooter. Love's attorney advises complete silence, but prosecutors possess sufficient evidence for formal charges. Capital murder in Texas allows death penalty consideration, particularly for killings committed during robbery with clear premeditation. The final arrest warrant targets Brenda Delgado, but officers arriving at her residence discover she has disappeared. Neighbors report observing her loading luggage into a taxi 3 days earlier, the same day Crystal was arrested, and began cooperating. Digital forensics reveals Delgado's escape route toward Mexico. Banking records show substantial cash withdrawals in the days following the murder. Cell phone tower data tracks her movement toward Laredo, then communication signals disappear entirely at the international border. FBI involvement escalates the investigation immediately. International fugitive cases require federal coordination, particularly when suspects flee to countries with complex extradition agreements. Mexico's cooperation varies, depending on diplomatic relationships and specific circumstances. Detective Martinez updates Kendra's family during a private meeting at police headquarters. Her parents, who traveled from Illinois, listen with quiet dignity as he explains conspiracy details and the ongoing international manhunt. "We know who killed our daughter and why," Kendra's mother says softly. "When will justice be served?" Be damned in locating Brenda Delgado. The FBI is working with Mexican authorities, but international fugitive cases can be prolonged and complicated. How long might this take? Honestly, I cannot predict. Some fugitives are captured quickly, others evade arrest for years. Months pass without significant progress in the manhunt. Delgado appears to have vanished into Mexico's vast geography, possibly aided by false documentation or criminal networks specializing in harboring fugitives from American justice. Public interest in the case gradually diminishes as newer crimes capture media attention. Kendra's murder joins countless other unsolved files, another family left waiting for justice that may never materialize. Prosecutors proceed with cases they can pursue immediately. Kristopher Love faces trial for capital murder in late 2016. Evidence against him is overwhelming. Crystal's eyewitness testimony, ballistics confirmation, surveillance footage, phone records placing him at the crime scene. During Love's trial, prosecutors detail the conspiracy for jurors unfamiliar with the case's complexity. Crystal Cortes testifies about her recruitment by Delgado, the surveillance period, and the night of the murder. Her emotional breakdown demonstrates the psychological cost of participation. "I wish I had never met Brenda Delgado," she sobs on the witness stand. "I wish I had walked away when I understood what she was planning. Dr. Hatcher didn't deserve to die because of our greed and stupidity." Love's defense argues that Crystal's testimony serves her own interests, designed to minimize culpability by portraying him as the primary villain. They present him as manipulated by Delgado, rather than a willing participant in premeditated execution. The jury deliberates for less than 6 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all charges. During the penalty phase, they recommend death, influenced by the calculated nature of the crime and Love's apparent lack of remorse. Kendra's family attends every day of proceedings, their dignified presence serving as quiet reminder of human cost behind legal technicalities. When the verdict is announced, they show no celebration, only exhausted relief that one element of justice has been achieved. Crystal Cortes accepts a plea agreement for 35 years imprisonment in exchange for continued cooperation against Delgado if she's ever captured. The sentence reflects both her critical testimony and acknowledgement of her essential role in the murder conspiracy. At her sentencing hearing, Crystal addresses Kendra's family directly. "I know my apologies cannot restore her life or diminish your grief. I will spend the remainder of my life regretting the choices that led to this tragedy." The response from Kendra's mother surprises courtroom observers. "We cannot forgive you yet, but we hope you use this time to become someone our daughter would have tried to help." Meanwhile, the FBI's search for Delgado continues, with periodic updates and international tips that consistently lead nowhere. She has been designated to the 10 most wanted fugitives list, bringing additional resources and global attention to her capture. The official listing describes her as armed and extremely dangerous, wanted for orchestrating the execution-style murder of a Dallas pediatric dentist. Maybe using false identification, fluent in Spanish, with connections throughout Mexico and possible access to significant financial resources. A $50,000 reward generates hundreds of tips from across North and Central America. Most prove worthless, cases of mistaken identity or attention-seeking false reports. But investigators pursue each lead systematically, understanding that fugitive captures often result from persistent investigation rather than dramatic breakthroughs. The case-breaking development arrives in April 2018, nearly 3 years after the murder. Mexican federal police in Torreon, working with FBI liaisons, identify a woman matching Delgado's description living under false identity in a modest apartment complex. Extended surveillance confirms the identification through facial recognition technology and behavioral pattern analysis. Delgado has been working as a translator for a local business, maintaining low profile while using forged documents identifying her as Maria Elena Vasquez. The arrest occurs at dawn with overwhelming tactical force. Mexican authorities surround the building while FBI agents coordinate from nearby command posts. Delgado surrenders without resistance when confronted with evidence of her true identity. "I understand why you're here," she states calmly. "I've been expecting this day for quite some time." Extradition proceedings begin immediately, complicated by Mexico's constitutional prohibition against death penalty cases. American prosecutors must guarantee that Delgado will not face execution if returned to Texas, a concession that frustrates some observers but enables legal resolution. After 18 months of diplomatic and legal negotiations, Delgado arrives at DFW International Airport in federal custody. News cameras capture her descent from the aircraft in restraints, her composed expression revealing nothing about the journey that brought her back to face justice. She's transported directly to Dallas County Jail, held without bond pending trial. The legal proceedings will determine whether years of planning, manipulation of others, and destruction of innocent life merit maximum available punishment under law. Defense preparations focus on emotional mitigation rather than factual disputes. Evidence of conspiracy is overwhelming, but attorneys hope to present Delgado as a woman destroyed by romantic rejection, acting from psychological disturbance rather than calculated malice. Her trial begins in 2019, generating intense media coverage and renewed public interest in Kendra's story. The courtroom fills each day, with reporters, legal observers, and community members seeking closure 4 years after the murder. Prosecutor methodically constructs the case, presenting evidence establishing motive, means, and opportunity. Cortes testifies once again, her prison experience evident in her changed appearance, but her testimony remaining consistent with all previous statements. Brenda planned everything, she explains to jurors. The surveillance, the timing, recruiting Kristopher. She wanted Dr. Hatcher dead because she couldn't accept that Ricky had found happiness with someone else. Digital evidence corroborates the complete timeline. Phone records document Delgado's contacts with both accomplices in the days preceding murder. Banking records confirm cash withdrawals consistent with criminal payments. Surveillance footage places her vehicle at multiple locations during the stalking operation. Defense attorney attempts to humanize his client through testimony about childhood trauma, academic achievements, and previous relationships. He argues that obsessive love, while legally inexcusable, should influence sentencing considerations. Brenda Delgado is not a career criminal, he tells jurors during closing arguments. She's a woman whose judgment was destroyed by jealousy and romantic rejection. What she did was inexcusable, but it emerged from emotional devastation rather than inherent evil. Prosecutors counter with evidence of Delgado's methodical planning and manipulation. The surveillance operation lasted weeks. She researched Kendra's routine thoroughly. She recruited criminal accomplices deliberately. The execution was timed and positioned to maximize success while minimizing capture risk. This was not a crime of passion committed in emotional turmoil, prosecutor argues. This was a business transaction. Brenda Delgado hired an assassin to eliminate a romantic rival, then fled to avoid consequences for her actions. Jury deliberations conclude in less than 30 minutes, remarkably brief for a capital murder case. The verdict: guilty on all charges, including capital murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. Kendra's family demonstrates quiet satisfaction rather than celebration outside the courthouse. Her father addresses gathered reporters. 4 years ago, our daughter was murdered by someone consumed with jealousy and hatred. Today, that person faces accountability. It doesn't restore Kendra's life, but it honors her memory. Sentencing occurs the following week. Due to extradition agreements with Mexico, death penalty cannot be imposed. Judge sentences Delgado to life imprisonment without possibility of parole, ensuring she will never again threaten innocent life. The court finds that your actions represent ultimate betrayal of trust and humanity, judge states during sentencing. You orchestrated the execution of a woman whose only offense was earning the love of someone you could not possess. You will spend your remaining years reflecting on the destruction you caused. Delgado maintains composure throughout sentencing, her expression suggesting either complete acceptance or complete indifference. Only she knows which interpretation accurately reflects her internal state. Appeals will follow inevitably, as they do in all major criminal cases. Defense attorneys will challenge evidence, admission, jury selection, and sentencing procedures. But the conviction appears solid, built on physical evidence and eyewitness testimony, leaving little room for reasonable doubt. Outside the courthouse, candles burn once again for Kendra Hatcher. The community that mourned her death now marks the conclusion of legal proceedings that spanned 4 years and crossed international boundaries. Children from her former dental practice arrive with parents to participate in the memorial vigil. Many cannot remember her directly, too young when she died, or patients who came after her death. But their presence demonstrates how her legacy continues through the institution she helped build. Dr. Kendra helped my sister's teeth, 8-year-old Emma explains to a television reporter. Mama says she was an angel who made children smile. The clinic continues operating with new staff, but Kendra's photograph remains prominently displayed in the waiting area. Below it, a bronze plaque reads, Dr. Kendra Hatcher, 1982 to 2015. Remembered through service to others. Current staff members tell new families about the clinic's founder, how she worked evenings and weekends to accommodate patient needs, how she provided free care, regardless of family financial circumstances, how she believed every child deserved dental health as a basic human right. She built this place on the principle that helping others was its own reward, explains Dr. Chen, now serving as clinic director. We honor that mission with every patient we treat. Insurance programs and government policies have expanded coverage since Kendra's death, partly due to advocacy from her foundation. Thousands of additional children now receive preventive care that might have been financially impossible under previous systems. The ripple effects of her life continue expanding years after her death, reaching families who never knew her personally but benefit from systems she championed. Her influence flows through policy changes, charitable programs, and medical professionals inspired by her example. This represents her enduring legacy, not the circumstances surrounding her death, but the continuation of her life's work through others committed to her ideals. Evil intended to silence her voice permanently, but compassion proved stronger than hatred. Justice arrived imperfectly, but substantially in the end. Kristopher Love awaits execution on death row. Cortes serves her sentence with possibility of eventual redemption. Brenda Delgado will never again threaten innocent life or manipulate others into violence. The legal system worked slowly but systematically, pursuing truth across international boundaries and through years of complex negotiations. Prosecutors fulfilled their commitment to Kendra's family. Law enforcement agencies demonstrated that murder, however carefully planned, eventually faces accountability. Yet justice feels incomplete because death cannot be reversed. Kendra's patients will never again benefit from her gentle care. Her family will never recover what was stolen. Her community lost a healer, whose replacement may never emerge with quite the same dedication. The case illustrates both the power and limitations of legal resolution. Courts can punish wrongdoing and prevent future crimes, but they cannot restore what was destroyed. They can provide closure, but not resurrection. They can deliver justice, but not healing. As evening settles over Dallas once more, the clinic's lights dim after another day of service. Tomorrow will bring new patients, continued healing, ongoing commitment to families in need. The work Kendra started continues through different hands, guided by her same spirit of compassion. Crime ended her life, but it could not end her influence. Love proved more enduring than hatred. Healing outlasted destruction, and compassion echoed beyond the reach of evil. Perhaps that represents the deepest justice of all, the triumph of light over darkness. The final candle burns out in front of the courthouse, but Kendra Hatcher's memory burns eternal in the lives she touched, the children she healed, and the community she served with unwavering dedication. Murder may have silenced her voice, but her legacy speaks forever, through those who continue her mission.